What if I told you that you manifest every single waking day of your life, right? You manifest every single waking day of your life, right? And you embody realities every single day of your life. But you just don't really understand it to be in that way because we're so booked and busy. And we have been told in what I call, and many of us beings that understand things from a metaphysical perspective, a fixed reality where it has been cultivated and designed for us to understand it in a different type of way. We don't realize that we manifest and embody, right, every single day, right? So today I am going to give you a perspective and a perception through my lens, through the 0 point essence of how I understand my now moment, how we get to point A to point B in our everyday evolution, and how we're able, or I am able, to understand this process in the essence of neutrality. That in addition of me understanding it through this space, it helps me with my nervous system. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, stay tuned. Welcome to Pi Sovereign Signature, the 0 point experience through me edition, where true coherent experiences become the frequency where one feels resonant to, attuned to. First, I'm going to start off about the 0 point experience through me, to which, I am at my 0 point baseline sense of understanding with all of my realities. And that is including the ones that I am now privileged to have an expansion to understand, that to which who I am in truth. And what that simply means is, and I'm going to see if you guys understand this analogy. So what happened is, and this is through my lens, right? What happens is that we start off in a coherent state. We start off at a 0 point state, right? And as we transcend into experiences, right, we move from a coherent state, right, to a decoherent state, right? So 0 point is an actual space where we come back unto ourselves and we neutralize to begin a different state of being, right? So I'm going to get back into understand the neutrality of self, or the 0 point of self, to take that fear out of coming back to the 0 point of self, because I understand through quantum physics, it is understood in such a variation of ways, depending on where you are at in your state of awareness. It's going to determine how you internalize the information. But because I move from a value of harmonics, a state of harmony, my understanding is more of a harmonic side of sense of understanding, more in a stable sense of understanding. and more in a balanced and simplistic sense of understanding. So there is no complexities in terms of how I understand my now moment, right? So when you go through the 0 point, right, and when you make the decision to come back unto the truth of self or the coherent state of self, you come from out of what we perceive as the dissension state back up into the essence of the 0 point state. And so the 0 point state allows you the ability to have a sense of recalibration. This is what is going to clear the cache, so to speak, right? You're clearing the cache. You're going back to 0 point. So now that when you begin to now internalize experiences, you can now pick and choose experiences now that are more coherent or that are more attuned and aligned to who you are in truth, in a state of awareness, and also in a state of authenticity, and also in a state of expanded awareness. Because once you begin to unplug from the decoherent states of being, when you're migrating back to your 0 point state of being, right? By unplugging things that no longer serve to you, that are no longer in alignment to that to which who you are in truth, no matter how true it may be for those who are still in participation of the reality in the vibrational state that those realities are operating from. It no longer is true to you. So you are now migrating back to your 0 point state, to which you started from, which is a 0 point coherent state of being. So you're migrating back onto that to which you truly are in truth, by coming to the realization that the realities that you are participating in, but you no longer really are in agreement with it. You're in disagreement. But even in disagreement, it doesn't feel aligned. And so you are questioning the reality. And so therefore you're pulling away from the reality. So now you're migrating back onto your 0 point state, to which they call the stillness state of self, right? It is the essence of neutrality, where you are not yay or nay for the experience, because you're now operating from a vibrational state or vortex of truth that understands that this is just an essence of self that is experiencing these realities, because you're moving out of the survival fixed reality that tells you that this is the only reality to experience. And you're realizing, when your harmonic value of your sovereign self comes online, you're realizing, no, I got to be a little bit more to this that meets the eye than that to which I am experiencing, because there's something deep down inside, buddy love, that is awakening within me, that's saying that this particular paradox is not necessarily something that I truly identify with. I'm just going along to get along. And even that is becoming, perplexing, and it's becoming draining. And I don't even know if I fit in that scenario anymore. So you're just questioning everything. So the paradox that we place ourselves in when we're now pulling and unplugging, it's going to be the only thing that makes it a little bit confusing is that you're going to have the external value of people on the outside that are still within the agreement to participate in the realities is going to still say that it is a true reality. But then this is where you have to stay true to self and understand that although they may say that it's true for them, it may not no longer be true for you for whatever the reasons are. And you don't have to announce it. You don't have to bullhorn it and broadcast it. It can be something that is personal within you, and you take that journey within yourself back onto the 0 point of self. Because when you go back to the 0 point of self, now you're telling your cellular memory to defrag and to clear the cache of all to which that does not align to who I am in truth. And so your 0 point is allowing yourself to be in stillness, until you get to a calibrated self enough to begin to now start plugging into the realities that are more coherent to that to which now you are choosing to be, which is the more coherent state of being. But we're going to get deeper into the understanding of the 0 point self. But I first and foremost want to put that out there about 0 point so that people can relax the fear of 0 point reality of self, right? The neutral space of being, the stillness of you. And we're going to move more into how every day we manifest, right? Every day we embody, right? And if you would like to know what that looks like, stay tuned. So embodiment, manifestation. So you get to a point where you realize that you're not manifesting, you're actually embodying realities. But for the sake of, for people that still understand manifestation in the manner to which they understand it, I'm still going to use that word manifest, right? But I'm also going to continuously say embody, because that is exactly what we're doing every single day. We are embodying realities by what we agree to say yes to, even in disagreement. And I said this in my last video, that even in the essence of disagreement, we're still participating in the duality of the experience, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, this is how the soul is choosing to evolve. It is choosing to evolve in a dual state of being so that it can have the opposite experience of self in the manner to which it chooses to experience and express. But what happens sometimes is that we get fixed in these realities and we think that this is the only reality, even to the point of exhaustion, right? And this is where I said yesterday, we settle for the reality itself because we don't see anything past to what we have already chosen, because we follow the regimen of A, B, C, and D, and it garners the result that we intended to a particular point, but we don't feel complete, we don't feel satisfied, we don't feel that essence of completion, because we just went along to get along and they laid it out for us. So it's almost as if like we're choosing, instead of us choosing for ourselves, the essence of the soul decided to say, okay, I know that in my full state of awareness, I know that I can pick, choose, and refuse and create my own reality. I understand that I'm aware of this. So the essence of the soul decided to say, what would it be for me to go into a reality, a denser reality where everything is laid out for me? And so therefore, because everything now is laid out for you, you're told that if you go to school and you do this and you do A, B, and C, and D, it's going to be a result of E, D, F, and G, right? So everything is laid out and we follow suit, we follow the regimen, and it most likely, more than likely than not, comes out to be what, is placed before us, or at least something similar to. But the thing about the place of origin of who we are in truth is that it's always going to feel a little off to a certain degree, because if it's not really something that you really truly want to do and you're just doing it because it has been orchestrated for you to do, and your soul, your sovereign self decides to wake up in the middle of that orchestration, it's gonna feel a little funny, okay? You're gonna be like, yeah, I done put all these years into going to school and doing all this stuff, and I did what my parents asked me to do, I did what society told me to do, I've done all the things that, it was legitimately correct, politically correct, and everything of that nature, but I still have this essence of absence that is feeling amongst myself in completion, right? And so 9 times out of 10, if you are feeling that way, that's because you have a bigger blueprint that is being exercised in this experience, within the human experience, that you're still holding on to the essence of your original blueprint to be expressed in the human experience. You didn't let that go, and so therefore you're at some capacity, you're still experiencing or choosing to experience the coherent state of being. So that is going to come online in your human experience. Whether your biology is going to be able to embody the essence of that frequency or that bandwidth or not, it's still going to come online. And what's going to happen is that, you know, you're going to be in this thought process, but then your biology is going to have this particular type of lag if you don't really begin to really unplug and let go of all of those, you know, decoherent experiences that no longer serve what it is that you are in truth. So I just wanted to put that out there for you guys to understand that we're always manifesting. We're always embodying realities. Every reality that you are experiencing right now, you have agreed within yourself and said yes to, even if you are in disagreement with it. Being in disagreement is still being in participation. So the full effect of not having anything to do with the reality itself, the experience itself, is to withdraw. Now, I'm not saying don't live your life and look at other beings that are participating in the reality and different things of that nature and say, oh, I'm totally recluse, I ain't got nothing to do with it. No, withdrawing your energy doesn't mean that you don't have a life and different things of that nature and you're not seeing other things that are similar to those frequencies that are expressing themselves. They're still going to express themselves and you still can partake within the experience. But the difference is now with that awareness, you're not going to become anchored. Okay, you're not going to become anchored, but we're going to delve deep into how we embody, aka manifest, every single day in the vibrational state that we are choosing, so that we can really get a clear and cogent sign how this manifestation and this embodiment and how it entangles and intermingles and becomes receptive to our nervous system, how all that synchronize together. So if you are enjoying this so far, I ask you to continue to stay tuned and we shall continue. So right out of the womb, we get to, they get to telling us what to do and how to be and, what religion and what political party and what school and Harvard and all this other kind of stuff. We get to, have all of these different variations of things that are being told to us that, yeah, you got to do this, you got to do that, or you're going to be street, or you're going to what, all of these plethora of things that comes into our midst. And it's just a big old catalog, infinite in nature, basically, that we can choose in survival reality, right? In a decoherent state of being. And I don't want to make it seem like survival reality is bad or good. It is a choice. It is an alternate state to that to which who you are at your 0 point state or coherent state of being, to which that is what your essence of soul has chosen to experience, right? We come into the density to experience ourselves in form, right? Because the expansive, we come to experience a smaller portion of self because of the essence of the expanded self that we are. For those of us who see ourselves as such, because you got beings that say, this is it, this is all she wrote, and it's nothing past this experience. And for those essences that are choosing to experience this reality in that way, that is a truth, because in the aspect of where there is no space and time, all of these realities are infinite, right? It's infinite possibilities. And so what happens is that when the essence come into form and they think beyond time, space, reality into the infinite possibility aspect of being, right? Where there is no time, you're able to drop that possibility down into time space reality, so that you now have the potential to embody that reality. But the thing about the reality itself, depending on how that reality is calibrated, is going to depend on how you experience it. So if you are choosing to experience it in survival, and you create a storyline so that you can experience that that reality in survival state, then things that comes in that density of energy are probably things that we, are dense, that we don't really like. You know what I'm saying? The lesser part of, the harder things of life, the denser things of life that we pretty much, learn our lessons from. You know what I'm saying? And so when you want to experience things in a more fluid sense of understanding, and you dropping it out of, from where there is no time into a time-space continuum, so that you can begin to embody the reality, but you want to embody that experience in a more fluid state of being, or a more coherent state of being, then this is where now your body has to be attuned to receive that experience, right? So that you can experience that reality in a more fluid state, in a more coherent state, and not as dense, so that your body can attune in safety to say that it's okay for me to experience this in a coherent state. But what happens is that when the body has become fixed in and acclimated into an autonomy that, yes, I'm always constantly in protective mode to protect you in the reality that you're choosing to experience in such a denser state, because the survival state is not bad. It's protection. It is there out of love to protect you within the reality chosen in density. So it's not saying that it's bad. It's not good. It's not bad. It is a protective aspect of how you are experiencing. Okay, so it's not bad. All right, I don't want anybody to think, oh, survival is the worst thing to ever be created on planet Earth. No, it's a protective mechanism, geniusly created within the biology, right? So that you can experience the density of the reality in the manner to which we choose to experience the density. Okay, but we're moving into a more there are beings that are choosing to move into a more coherent state of being, and so therefore we're beginning to recalibrate our vessel so that we can hold the coherent light, to be able to attune to experiences that are not as dense as the denser experiences, or the slower calibrated light that we have been experiencing in survival reality, that made it seem, because it's so dense and it appears, the projection of it appears to move so slow, you think that this is the only reality there is upon this God green earth. There's nothing else. And so I got to settle for what I have chosen, because this thing is moving like molasses, it appears, right? It is a choice, and we can always choose to shift out of the momentum of that reality once we become aware that we do have options to choose different realities to experience from. But we're going to get so deeply into the understanding of this in a sense of fluidity, because I think a lot of times where people think, oh, I'm a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire. Well, I'm here to tell you, ring the alarm. You already are a millionaire. A millionaire is billionaires and all of that stuff is a byproduct. And I get it. Money is a tool that, we would like to have. Many of us would like to have in our possession so that we can have a little bit more fluidity to live in the manner to which we want to live. But we're going to get into all of that, and it's going to have a sense of a more compassionate sense of understanding of how all of that mechanically works with each other more in a practical way. And I know I'm speaking more in a metaphysical term, but I'm going to bring some experiences of my own into practicality so that you can make sense of what I'm saying now into a practical sense of understanding. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. So bringing this into a practical state of being. So we have chosen a reality where we go to work every day. We have responsibilities, and we're seeing around us different levels of how people are actually moving and living. And in terms of how people are actually moving and living, you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have judges, you have entertainers, you have athletes, right? In every particular part of these particular types of genres of, being, or, jobs, or however you look at, or lifestyles, or whatever. It looks separational in the midst of the experience, and it also brings a separation in a socioeconomic type of way. So what happens is that in the mindset of separation, you're saying, if I become a doctor, I'll make this money, or if I become a lawyer, I'll make this money, or if I become this, I'll do that. Okay. And so, but you've noticed that not everybody is attuned to become a doctor, or not everybody is attuned to become an athlete, or not everybody is attuned to become a scientist, right? Everybody have different variations of, what they are actually acclimated and attuned to become, right? And so a lot of times what the illusion of separation says is that if I grew up in a impoverished environment, I become a product of that environment. And so this is what is a part of the density. The density is telling you, because we are choosing to experience reality by being told, right? Until we come into our blueprint of our original blueprint and say, okay, well, I no longer want to be told what to do. Now it's time for me to tell myself, right? Until that begin to activate, we're still going to follow suit. What we have chosen to experience in the polarized opposite of self. And so it's not bad, it's not good, but from an evolutionary state, at a soul level, at a pulling back the layers from that to which is practical, right? It is a choice. We're choosing to evolve in these particular types of situation. And one would say, well, Patrice, why would I choose to be in an impoverished situation? Or why? Because 9 times out of 10, your blueprint is probably that is of an expanded version. Like your blueprint, it may be this extreme expanded version, like coherent light that just wanted to be this little pin, this little micro that wanted to fit into this small space and experience the contraction or the constriction of self, right? It's not to say that it's bad. It's not to say that it's good. And I'm going to constantly reiterate that throughout this whole this entire process of anything that I do, because this is what is going to tell you that your nervous system is safe. And allows you to begin to start pick, choosing, and refusing realities that you want to be a part of, right? And to maintain that safety. And as long as I'm able to, to assure you that there is safety in realities chosen, once you choose what is safe to you, then you'll begin to recalibrate your nervous system and tell your nervous system that it's safe, especially when there is no imminent threat. Okay, so that it doesn't constantly respond to being in fight or flight all the time, thinking that it's in, a threatening situation when it's not. And then your awareness is going to say, well, when you start becoming more, sensitive to your body, you're going to notice that there's no reason for me to be contractive right now or be in a constrictive state. This is actually a pretty good thing that's happening. And then you could tell your body that it can associate and assimilate this experience to a safety experience. So you're going to be starting to get in, control of being aware of your own attunement over your vessel. Once you start to make that choice to come out of a decoherent state into a coherent state. And once again, this is not to say that this is for only people that is choosing to be coherent. This is for anybody that is listening, that chooses to listen to this. But nevertheless, most times, 9 times out of 10, the gravitational pull that's going to come to this, this channel is for people that blueprint is awakening in their sovereign state. Right, their sovereignty is coming online. Okay, and so they're seeking to understand that aspect of self in a more simplistic sense of understanding, more so than the complexities that are all out there, all over the place to listen to. Okay, so you have the ability to shift out of the density of self, and the more and more you begin to understand that to which who you are in truth. And take off what I call the masked version of self, because anytime you move from the 0 point coherent state of self and you descend or, shift into, the decoherent state of self, or the survival state. That is the mass version of you, moving into an essence of a state where it's not your authentic you, it's an alternate version of you, that is moving through life and experiencing life in the manner to which you were experiencing it, in a good experience, in a, not so good experience by perception, and all of the things that comes along with it. And some, choose not to operate their sovereignty in this lifetime, and that's okay. No judgment. But for those of us that are aware, we can understand that we can shift out of that momentum once we begin to have this sense of awareness that we have the ability and the capability to do it. And we've always had the capability and the ability to do it. And I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. So stay tuned. So yes, we have always had the ability to shift in and out of how we want to be, because we embody realities all the time. But we embody realities by how we are choosing to calibrate ourselves energetically, right? And this is how the storyline commences, by the way that we have attuned our vessel to experience the reality, how, we choose to see it. This is why, as I said in the last video, you have two different people and they can see the same thing in two different ways because of their attunement, and based on how their realities that they have chosen to embody has been cultivated. So it may have some similarities, but it won't be exact, right? They see it differently than that to which someone else may see it, and it could have been in the same spot, same situation happening, and it comes out to be a totally different sense of understanding based off of how they are attuned. And this is why sometimes you can have a conversation with someone, and when you begin to see that their conversation is not necessarily aligning with that to which how you are speaking, because of how you have embodied the experience energetically, your energetic attuning, it may not align. So it's not to sit here and say, oh, I am going to convince you that my attuning is the correct way to understand this reality, when they are going to feel that they are just as correct about how they are internalizing and interpreting their reality by what has cultivated throughout their experiences, their vibrational state, or their energetic state, to how they are tuned to play. That's just like you are an alto and I am a alto and someone else is a bass, and they hold a certain attunement to how they want to hold a note in that reality until they decide that they want to change themselves into what it is that they want to change themselves into, or embody another reality. When you choose to embody a different reality, in which that's what most people do, when you find that they're shifting out of poverty and they're shifting into a more, a fluid state of living within survival state, right? That appears to be more fluid, because remember, anything in survival is illusion, right? So even though it may appear to be fluid, right, there are some things that has to commence in order for that illusion of fluidity to continue to have momentum, unless in the midst of all of that they decide to say, okay, I'm ready to go back into my coherent state, right? And their blueprint wakes up in the midst of all of that, and then now they have to make amends to deconstruct, right, and recalibrate their biology to that to which is of a coherent state. But what you have placed out there in the populace or in the collective, or whatever you did to garner your state of being in a survival state, it doesn't just disappear. It has reminiscences. And to give you an example of what that looks like, and let me say heavily alleged, because I don't know the ins and outs of who, what, when, where, why. I can only speak an account of to what it is that's going on in my life, but what has been placed out there for public consumption to give you an idea of how things move, is that, you have certain entertainers, right, that made their money through music, entertainment, and different things of that nature. And then now they come out with a public persona that, you know, they're this way, they're a more coherent way. But the collective is not allowing them to live that life now because of the energy residue that they left in the collective, that seems to carry along with them in the midst of all of that. Now, a lot of people might say, well, they don't have to care anything about that. They can still go on about their life because they done made their millions of different things of that nature. But there's still things that comes along with it. You have gambling habits. You have different essences of losses, or essences of, how can I say, things that still rock with you in an essence of an incoherent state, that are still private, that still kind of somewhat have leakage. So you still have leakages, right? You still have leakages. As long as you have leakages, you are operating still in a survival state, no matter how wealthy you are. Leakages is leakages, right? As long as you have leakages and different things of that nature, you're operating in, you know, a decoherent state, right? Still some survival essence. It's probably reminiscences of it, and you're making amends to change and recalibrate yourself. But that's what happened when you choose to acquire wealth through survival, and then in mid-flight you shift and you become coherent. And so now you have to, everything that you needed to sustain that wealth, you may have some deficits that comes along with that. You're going to lose business partners. You're going to lose a lot of people because you're not going to want to play that game anymore. You're not going to want to play the game anymore because it's no longer in alignment. So whatever those particular people are in the spaces that are sustaining your wealth, business partners, businesses, monies, and different things of that nature, you might not want to operate in that space anymore because it may not be aligned, it may not be coherent, and you might have to cut ties. And hopefully you have enough wealth to sustain you in that position, or the other, but you might take a loss. To give you an example, like I said, Kanye, right? I don't know Kanye business or anything like that. But what did he do? He did not believe in certain aspects of certain things, and he used the density against the density of itself, and got himself out of multi-million-dollar endorsements because he realized that he didn't need that. He was no longer in alignment because he was going back to his 0 point state to operate in a more coherent state of being. So in order to get out of energy ties, right, he did what he needed to do so that these beings could sever the contracts, the energy contracts with him, right? He said what he needed to say so that they could sever the contract. And that's what happens when you become coherent. You don't care. You can have your money. You can have whatever, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So he did whatever he needed to do to cut the ties so that he could become in a more coherent state. Okay. So these are just examples of, you know, it's all about energy when you begin to understand it from an energetic perspective. But for those of you guys that are doctors, lawyers, and medical people and everything, your world is still intact. This is just another aspect of it that may not have been studied. Okay. And I don't discredit how you understand the grounded sense of understanding of the medical world. I am not trying to touch that on no. So I'm not no doctor in that aspect, or have making any type of claims or to be in that respect. But I do understand it from a metaphysical, spiritual sense of understanding, from an energetic quantum perspective, and that is the nature of how I am speaking this on. All right, so we're going to do one more thing because I want to make sure you guys have a sense of understanding on this, and we shall return. Now, everybody want to know how to get rich. Well, the first thing you gotta already know is that you already are, and you're choosing right now to be whatever it is that you are experiencing. And once you decide that that will no longer be the case, and you choose to embody the reality that you want to experience, what I've been saying, I said yesterday, I'm saying today, and I was continue to say for every video moving forward. Once you begin to embody the reality that you are choosing to experience by unplugging from realities that prohibits, that are not aligned, that are mismatched, right? It's like having on two mismatched shoes, or two left feet or whatever. It doesn't mesh. It's not aligned. It doesn't match once you pull out from those vibrational states. Now, and I want to make it clear, okay? I'm not saying that you are not to participating in world events and different things of that nature. When I say withdraw, I'm not saying that, oh, you can't be a part of things. It's just that you're not anchoring yourself into these realities, right? You see them, they happen, and they just move along. Just walk on by. To just walk on by. Like, you just walk on by. You're not anchoring yourself. You're not giving it an emotional charge. You're not allowing it to infiltrate your nervous system and hold you in an electrical charge and freeze you into that reality. And you feel obligated or compelled to participate in that reality for any reason that goes against the grain to that to which who you are, or what reality that you're choosing to embody, to experience, right? That's it. It's not saying, because you want to live, you want to have fun, you want to do things, and there are going to be some things that are, that one may perceive bad. You may not perceive it as bad, but somebody else may perceive it as bad. That's why you can't look at somebody else and say, okay, what they think is bad, it may be bad for you, because it may not be bad for you, it's bad for them. And what may be bad for them may be good for you. It's all about you, your authenticity, the truth of you, who you are in truth, right? Coming to the realization of that. And taking off the mask. And what I said yesterday, I kept saying veil. I don't know why I kept saying veil. That word just kept coming over. But I am not masked. I'm not a masked person. However, I did choose to veil. Let me re-clarify that. I did choose to veil, right, for a long period of time. But I was never masked. Right? I was never masked, and that's why I say I was quiet, because I wasn't masked, but I was veiled to a degree, right? Energetically. Okay. So yes, I was energetically veiled. I wasn't masked, right? And so because I wasn't masked, because it's gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna come out. So I wasn't masked. So I was quiet. Okay. So let me go ahead and clear that up, because I just kept like, what can I kept saying veiled? I'm like, I was never veiled. That was on my mind, but neither here nor there. I'm clearing it up now in this video. Yes, I was veiled, but I was never masked. And because I was not a masked person, that's why I couldn't probably stay on a job, because I was quiet. As long as I was quiet, I was good. You know what I'm saying? But once I got to talking, you know what I'm saying, and things started to, I was never masked, right? I was never masked. I always moved in the essence of my authenticity. So, that's a stress. When you're not able to really kind of like be yourself in the matter into a fluid self, and you just have to be like Superman, and you gotta, Clark Kent. You can't be your Superwoman or your Superman. You gotta be Clark Kent in a work environment. And like I told you, in the permission-based sense, and I'm going to do a video about that job and different things of that nature in a good way, not to bash the job, because it's doing what it's supposed to do, it's doing what it was created to do. But I'm going to talk about it in a good way, because I'm in a more healed space now where I can actually be appreciative of the experience. So I'm going to talk about that on another video. But yes, I was never masked, and so therefore I was quiet, but not masked. Okay. And so that's a big difference in terms of anything. So a lot of us are, masked because we want to survive. We want to survive the reality. We want to get to the next level. We want to be a part of something. Like I had an experience that I saw the other day where there was a celebrity that spoke on Clive Davis's behalf, and saying that they should do something for Clive Davis and everything, or whatever the case may be. And you could tell that someone probably had to have asked that celebrity to say that on that person's behalf, and they felt compelled to say that because of the power that that particular family or person may have, and they didn't want to, ruffle any feathers, so they went on a public platform and said what they said. And that's a masked person, because if you're not in a position to say, no, I'm not saying nothing because I don't necessarily tie into the vibrational state to what that represents, and you are willing to risk it all because you're looking at your lifestyle, you're looking at everything, and a lot of people are not willing to risk it. They're not willing to risk it. And for those who are not willing to risk it, and you're in that mask, this is not for you, but it's not bad. Listen clearly, understand, overstand, no judgment. It is how the soul is choosing to experience. There is no judgment in terms of how you are choosing to experience and express. But for those who are looking to move out of experience wealth consciousness, because you already are wealth consciousness, that has never been taken away from you. You already are wealth consciousness. You already the billionaire, the millionaire, the quadrillionaire, whatever heir you would like to be, you already abundant to whatever aspect of self you are choosing to want to be. It's just that at a micro level, because micro at a micro level, at the biology level, the attuning aspect to how you are choosing to experience that is going to be solely on how it aligns and how your biology is calibrated and vibrated, vibrationally attuned for that to commence, because it has to be in a synchronized sense, because you will experience it, but you will experience the reality in accordance to how you are attuned. And how you are attuned. And if you want flow, if you looking at yourself in doubt, if you're looking at yourself in a deficit, if you don't have any worthy of yourself, that's how you're going to experience your wealth consciousness. If you don't see yourself worthy and different things, that's how you're giving permission for the reality to attune itself to come down from out of the infinite, right, possibilities into the time space continuum. And now, based off of how your body is attuned in the physical side of self, that's how that reality is going to project. And if you are not liking how it's projecting based off of the attunement of your biology, then that's the keynote for you to shift and change. So I am going to end this beautiful video on that note, and we're going to continue more and more as we become expandedly aware into it. But if you like what you have heard thus far, please go ahead and give me 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs. I know it only actually gives an option for 1, but in your heart, give me another thumb. So give me 2 thumbs up. And if you have anything to add, or if you have any questions that you would like to add to about this video that you heard in this video, go ahead and leave a comment or ask a question or what have you. And also too, I'm placing little quizzes and different things into the video for you guys to be a participant in, if you would like to participate in that. So you'll see that also as a part of engagement as well. And also, once again, I'm going to also go ahead and tell you that I do have in my stand store and on my website the Genesis key, right? And I have some beautiful atars. As a matter of fact, I can show you a few of them right now that I am curating right now to get the labels for and stuff like that, that I'm going to eventually, I have some that I have some gold flakes in. I haven't really put the ones, I haven't picked up that one yet. But these are my samples now that I'm aging, because they have to age, right? So I have some beautiful atars that are going to be coming out to give you an olfactory of helping the parasympathetic aspect of your nervous system to bring you back into a sense of attunement into the coherent state of your coherent light. So I got all of these beautiful things that is coming into play, but definitely on my stand store, I do have a free item them on there, as well as a couple of paid items on there too, as far as my ebooks, the Genesis Key 1 and 2, and I'm currently working on 3. So if you feel compelled to want to take a look at those, they are there for the giving. And I'm so divinely grateful. And like I say, please like, please subscribe, and also share. And we shall see you again on the next go around. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am so grateful. See you next time. Later.